Hello and welcome back to the second part of using formulae in exam questions. In this video I'm going to go through some exam questions and I'll show you how to use those formulae in those exam questions. Now before I go into it, I just want to say a big thank you to that one person who actually followed me on Twitter. So thank you very much. You heard it right, only one person. Now in front of you, you can see a formula sheet provided by Edexcel. Now they're quite similar with the other boards as well, with AQA and OCR, the formula that you need to remember. I'll post a link to the formula sheet on the description below. I will also post a link to the previous video where I looked at a few more formulas, and please do not forget to subscribe because I will be going through the rest of the formula in the next video, which will be coming soon. So let's get on with it. Have a look at this question and decide which formula are you going to use in order to answer this question. Okay. Now in the question we are given that sine 30 degrees is equal to 0.5, so it's giving you the sine value. Work out the value of x. Now this question is already given out that it is do with trigonometry. Okay, but if that value wasn't given in the question, how would you actually decide whether to use trigonometry or Pythagoras? Now this is a common mistake a lot of students make when they see a right angle triangle. Okay, they straight away think it could be Pythagoras. Okay, now in order to make a Pythagoras question, we need to be given two sides. On here we have one side given and the other side is missing, which is unknown, x centimeters. Okay, and we also have a angle involved other than the right angle here. So therefore we know that we have to use trigonometric ratios. Okay, now which one is it going to use? Here we are already given sine 30 is 0.5, so that's a big clue here that we need to use maybe sine rule. If we were not given the ratio sine 30 is 0.5, how do we identify which ratio to use? Now as we know, there are three trigonometric ratios. Well, the acronyms are SO, CA, TOA. But before we go into the actual ratios, first of all, label the triangle with the names of the sides. So we have opposite the right angle, we have hypotenuse. Opposite the angle given is opposite, and next to the angle is adjacent. So we are dealing with hypotenuse, which is 12 centimeters, and opposite, which is x centimeters. So hypotenuse and opposite. So we can see on the sine rule we have hypotenuse and opposite. So we can write down the ratio sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Now let's substitute the values in. So sine and theta is 30 degrees. Opposite is x, which we are finding, and hypotenuse is 12. Then multiply 12 by sine 30. So 12 sine 30 is equal to x. Now, on the question, sine 30 is given as 0.5, so 12 times 0.5. So we can substitute sine 30 with 0.5, and that will give us x. So x will be equal to 12 times half, or 12 times 0.5 is 6 centimeters. Okay, and we worked out the value of x. So to quickly recap, how do we identify that we need to use trigonometric ratios but not Pythagoras? It will have a right angle triangle, so does a Pythagoras, but only thing that differentiates Pythagoras question from trigonometric question is that the extra angle that is given here and an unknown side. Okay, hope that helps. In this question we're going to look at a volume of a prism. So the diagram shows a prism, that's a prism. and the diagram not drawn accurately. Now it's very important that we understand why this question actually tells us the diagram not drawn, well, diagram not accurately drawn. Is because you can't just get a ruler and measure it, and well, I'm not sure how you're going to find the volume with the ruler, but it is not drawn accurately. So let's work out the volume of the prism. Now, as we know from the formula sheet, that volume of prism is equal to, so let's write down the formula first. The volume of prism equal to area of cross section times by the length. Okay, now let's find out the area of the cross section. Now we need to identify the area of cross section first. So this is the area of the cross section, is to find out the area of this compound shape here first. Now it is a compound shape, so let's split the shape in parts. So you can do it this way, you can do it this way, whichever you prefer. I'll go and split it this way. So I've got a nice rectangle here. So the length of the rectangle is 9 times by the width is 2 centimeters. So I'll get 18 centimeters squared. Let's work out the area of this shape here. So the width is 4 centimeters. Now the length, we have 7 here, all the way 7. So all of it is 7, and because we already found the area of this side, this shape here, we need to find out the length of this shape here only. So let's have a look. 7 take away 2 centimeters, that will give us 5 centimeters. Okay, so the length 5 times by 4, which is 20 centimeters squared. Now let's add them together. Because it's a compound shape, we need to add the area together to be 38 centimeters squared. Now we found the area of the cross section. Now we need to multiply that by the length, which is 10 centimeters. So the volume is going to be 38 times by 10, which is 380 centimeters cubed. And that's our answer. We found the volume of the prism. And this question is worth 4 marks. How did we know that we need to use the volume of prism? In the question, it tells you clearly to work out the volume of the prism. And this formula is not given in the question, so you will have to actually remember this formula. Yes, that's right. You need to use the volume of a cylinder formula on this question. And how did we know that? It's a cylinder. Again, on this question, it tells us the diagram not drawn accurately. So do not go out of your way and use a ruler to measure the volume of this cylinder. I don't know how you're going to do that. There are people out there who can actually do that. Not. Anyway, the diagram shows a cylinder with a height of 10 centimeters. So that's the height here, 10 centimeters. And the radius of 4 centimeters. That's the radius. Calculate the volume of the cylinder. Give your answer to 3 significant figures. Now, how do we know which formula to use? Again, like I said, it's a volume of a cylinder. So let's write down the formula. So volume of cylinder is pi I'm not really good at writing pi r squared h. So pi, r stands for radius and h stands for the height. And let's substitute the information in. So pi, you are going to use the pi button on your calculator. So you have to press Shift And right at the bottom of your calculator, depending on which calculator you have, if you have the Casio FX83 GT Plus, then it's right at the bottom. So don't forget to press the shift button though. So pi times by radius squared, which is radius is 4 squared, times by height, which is 10 centimeters. Okay, and type that all in your calculator and you should have an answer of 502.6548246 centimeters cubed. Now in the question, just tell you to give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. So let's find the 3 significant figures. 1 significant, 2 significant, 3 significant. We got our 3 significant figures. Now how I usually do it is I just draw the line after 3 significant figures, look at the number after the 3 significant figures, this number here, which is 5 or over, therefore I will need to add 1 to this number here. So my answer was going to be 503 centimeters cubed. Now with this question, it wasn't a problem in order to identify the formula because we knew that it's a cylinder, and on the question it actually tells us find the volume of the cylinder. And don't forget to round your answer to significant figures or round decimal places, whichever is asked in the question. In this question we're going to look at a volume of a cuboid. The diagram shows the cuboid, so this is our cuboid here. Work out the volume of the cuboid. Now let's write down the volume of cuboid first. So volume of cuboid is length times by width times by the height. So we're going to find the volume of this cuboid here. So we have the length, which is 20 centimeters, times by width, which is 5 centimeters, and the height, which is 7 centimeters. Multiply these numbers. So 20 times 5 is 100, times by 7 is 700. Now this question is worth 3 marks. And where do we get the 3 marks? You must be thinking, it's a really easy question. How come there's 3 marks available for this type of question? Now 1 mark is available for writing this calculation here, showing that you are calculating the volume of this cuboid. Secondly, you get 1 mark for finding the actual volume, which is 700. And the third and final mark is going to come from writing the unit, which is centimeters cubed. Make sure you write the unit, otherwise you could lose 1 very easy mark. So let's quickly recap which formulae did we use in this video. We used the trigonometric ratios, which are new to foundation. So we use the sine x is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. We used the volume of cuboid, which is length times width times height. We used the volume of a prism, which is area of cross section times by the length. And we used volume of a cylinder, which is pi r squared h times by the height. Okay, now in the next video I will be looking at the compound measures. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing so that you can keep up with the revision and the use of formula in exam questions. See you in the next video. Mr. Mahmood, helping you do better in maths.